Thank you, Al. It's my pleasure on behalf of the American Legion Mountaineer Boys State to introduce today's lunch speaker, and that is Attorney General Patrick Morrissey. Attorney General Morrissey is the 34th Attorney General of West Virginia. He's a native of Jefferson County, West Virginia. He was the first, and he was just reelected to another 4-year term in 2016. And he was the first Republican Attorney General elected in West Virginia since 1933. And again, is in his second 4-year term. And Attorney General Morrissey has spent the last almost 7 years now as a leader across the country where attorney generals nationwide, when they are thinking about having litigation involving issues affecting their citizens, whether it's opioid addiction, and other issues that are important in our society today, often Attorney General Morrissey and the state of West Virginia is there right along with it. So if you'll all join me and give a Mountaineer Boys State welcome to Attorney General Morrissey.
That's a pretty great introduction. Thank you. Keep it up, guys. Hey, thank you very much, Jason, and it's a pleasure to be here today. It's really been my honor to come to Boys State literally every single year since I've been your Attorney General. So I was elected in 2012, and I've been coming back ever since, because when I look out around this room today, guys, I see the future leaders of West Virginia. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, part of the reason why this is such a great group to come to is because of Mountaineer Boys State. Look, this is a time-honored tradition. You've been going on since the 1930s, and this week, when you hold office and you learn about government, you're going to be learning how to blaze a path forward for yourselves and for the state. This isn't just about this week, this is about your future. And the reason why that's so important is that West Virginia is depending upon young people like you to be our leaders, to be our next wave of achievers that are going to distinguish our state from the rest of the country. When I'm serving as your Attorney General and I go visit other states, I go to national meetings, I try to make sure we're putting our best foot forward so that people think of West Virginia the right way. What you do every day matters as well. Your actions, and when you talk to people in state or outside the state, that represents West Virginia. So be proud as you stand strong for our state. Now, as we're looking for that next wave of leaders, I feel pretty comfortable because I look at that spirit, that talent, that energy that we saw today, and I know you can make West Virginia live up to its potential and be a great place. Now, this week, you're going to be learning a lot. It's going to be one of the best 1 weeks of your life. You're going to learn maybe how to run a state. You might learn how to run a campaign. Heck, I might learn a thing or two from you, from the campaign skills you're going to be developing. And when you're doing that, when you're holding office, or guys, when you're involved and you have your energy, you're going to expose yourself to that possibility of criticism. And oftentimes, you're going to have to work tirelessly with your colleagues to reach a compromise. Let me say that I can appreciate what you're going to be doing this week, and I appreciate the importance of public service in the state of West Virginia. It's not always easy, but it's a noble calling. But the things that you're going to be learning this week aren't just limited to politicians or members of government. They're going to apply to all of you in your future endeavors, and you're going to be that standard bearers. Your energy and creativity will propel us forward. Now, every year around this time, I like to ask a question, because a lot of people talk about West Virginia and the future, so I like to try to learn as much as I am speaking here today. So I'd like to ask, with a show of hands, how many people here are planning to go to college? All right? Every year it starts like this. Now my next question, how many of you here plan to go to college in West Virginia? Now, still a lot of names. How many of you believe that you're going to have a good career opportunity in West Virginia? Okay, now, anyone looking around the room, are you seeing what's happening? You get the most amount of hands that rise when we talk about going to college. Then you see a few fewer when you're talking about where you're going to go to college. But then a lot of additional names go down when you talk about the future of West Virginia. The reality is, I believe that you're going to have an incredible opportunity here in West Virginia. And our goals, all of our goals, should be to make West Virginia the best place to live and work in the country. But the way that's going to happen is through you. Because first, you have to have that confidence that you're going to help make West Virginia number one. How many people here follow the Mountaineers, football or basketball? Or you follow Mark? The Big 12 and really accelerate to do very well. And then you look at the baseball team. Anyone follow the WVU Mountaineer baseball team recently? They made the NCAA tournament, and people were talking about them hosting the regionals in Morgantown. Why is all that important? Because in any endeavor, you want to shoot to be number one, right? You want to be the best that you could possibly be. Whether you're talking about a sports team, whether you're talking about academics, whether you're talking about public service, whether you're talking about just being involved in your community, you want to be your best. And that's why all of us are here today. So I know that there are a lot of you who don't think there will be a future, a bright future here in West Virginia. And in the past, there have been some real difficulties, job opportunities. Kids coming back to West Virginia felt like they had to move elsewhere. I do think there's a possibility, a strong possibility, things are going to be better. Things already in the last couple of years are starting to turn around. Better economy. We still need a lot of work on our education system. We all know that. We're working hard to make sure that we're having better infrastructure. We know the roads are terrible right now, but at least you're seeing a lot of people out there starting to put a little bit of that energy in. And if we could get our infrastructure strong, our education really rising up in the rankings, our tax code more competitive, West Virginia really can shine. And you're going to help make it shine. So you have that potential to avoid that mass exodus here in West Virginia. Now you might say, well, what does the Attorney General have to do with economic prosperity, right? You know, I'm the chief legal officer in the state, so you might be wondering, well, what does he have to do with any of that? Well, as I think you know, as Jason, when he introduced me, said, we try to play a very important role working with other states across the country, trying to create a very strong regulatory and liability environment here in West Virginia, so that when a business wants to come, locate in our state, they know that West Virginia is doing it right. You know, they're not excessive. They're not making it so it's difficult to locate a business here, to live here, to work here. People are beginning to see over the last 7 years, hey, that's a stable, that's a predictable work environment. An Attorney General can play a very important role in that. But also, an Attorney General serves as the chief law firm of the state. And if you could do your job every day, the same way you're going to go through this week, all of you are going to make friends, but people are going to be pointing out the leaders, the guys who do it right. Well, the same is true when you're in public office. If you're a good Attorney General or a good auditor or a good governor, people know it. They know by the work that you're doing. So what are we doing in the AG's office? Well, probably the biggest challenge and the most important thing we're doing, we're fighting this terrible, terrible opioid epidemic. Guys, how many people here know folks who have either died or have been hurt or victimized by opioids? I think many of us do. And I'll tell you, it's really, really critical that we do everything imaginable to fight this terrible hopelessness. West Virginia has led the nation, the highest opioid death rate in the nation for many years. When I took over, there were actually no people directly working on, we had no opioid fighting unit in the office of AG. Can you imagine that? Nothing. Nothing that existed. You know what we did? We put 12 people on the case. And we're working. And you know what's happened since? Since we took over the office, the prescribing rates for opiates, they're down 51%, number 2 in the country. Now, I want to be number 1 in the country in that category, but still, to go from the levels where we are to down 51%, that's how you eventually stop the death. You got to go after this. Thank you. But every day, we got to do more. Do you think it's good to rest on your laurels and say, we've cut it 51%, that's enough? No way, no how. So what do? We do more. I sued the DEA. That's the national agency that's actually responsible for fighting the opioid epidemic. And you know what? We forced them to rewrite all the rules. Little old West Virginia. One office, one person, with a heck of a team. I've got a great team. Pam Krashansky's here today. We have people across the state working for you. And they're fighting hard against this opiate epidemic. They're going into the schools. We have the Opiate Awareness Games of the Week with the fall high school schedule, the football schedule. We have our Kids Kick Opiate contest. We're actually having accountability on the pharmaceutical manufacturers more than any state in the country today. And then it goes on. We want to make sure we get people better in the head and in the heart, right? Because you need to not just let a generation go by the wayside. That's what we're working on in the Office of Attorney General. And that's important work. And as we succeed, and we are succeeding, 51%, that's pretty real. But we can't give up. We need to go further. Not only to keep cutting the numbers down, but to have more on enforcement and more on treatment. That's going to be really important. So opiate fighting, that's critical. We also are involved in other litigation. Remember a couple of years ago, you guys remember when Barack Obama was president? Anyone here remember that? Seems like a long time ago, right? Well, during his administration, we had to file a lot of lawsuits against the Obama administration to protect our coal, our oil, our energy jobs, and we succeeded. We saved many thousands of jobs because of the work of the West Virginia AG's office. That's important because when I talk about the opportunities available to you, those opportunities wouldn't be available if you don't have an office step up and try to protect West Virginia from some of those outside forces. So protecting jobs, that's critical. Weighing in on legal opinions. But probably the most important thing of all, acting with honor and with ethics in the office. Doing it the right way. So when you spend your time this week, you guys haven't elected anyone yet, right? You're going to elect someone. Make sure that they're not only good for your caucus, make sure you get an honorable person, an ethical person, someone who's going to be a true leader who knows how to get things done. That's critical when you're electing public officials. It's critical when you're here in Boise State. So I look out at this room today and I'm positive. I see an incredible future. And what's really neat is that I spend a lot of time in a lot of high schools around West Virginia. And frequently, I give what I call the peace speech, right? A lot of people looking around the room going, what's the peace speech? Well, I talk about 10 or 12 different P words, things that might inspire you. But when I look around you today, it's easy to know what the first word is. You know what that is? Positive. I'm very positive about the future of West Virginia when I look around the room. And you should be too. Because you guys here, you can save our state. I kid you not. Imagine what you all do, you work together. We're going to talk about that for a few minutes. One person can make a difference. our litigation, our work on opiates, it's making a big difference. But imagine if everyone here, you come together behind common ideas and policies, and then you do the next P, you partner together for a greater good, a broader goal. Wow, there's no stopping what you guys can do. Think about that. Be positive every day. During the next couple days, you're going to have, most people are going to be pretty positive, but you're going to have a couple people who might want to drag you down. Don't let them do it. Keep up that positive energy. That's how you're going to attract more people to come together, form those partnerships, and then you're going to think about the possibility of West Virginia and the possibility of public service and all the incredible things you're going to accomplish. You're also, this week, going to talk a lot about values. Talk about another P word, principles. What do you stand for? What's your code of ethics? What do you care about? You need to be principled. When people look and you go, that person, you want them to define you in a positive, principled way. So having the right set of principles is critically important. And when you have those principles and you're being positive and you're thinking about that possibility, you also want to be passionate. You know, a lot of people have talent in life, but usually the people that accomplish things, they have the passion. They have the energy. They're able to muscle through when things are really tough, and they can get things done. How many of you here have passion? About anything. That's a pretty good list. You take that passion, you channel it, there's no telling how far you can go. And then, along with that passion, you know what else helps allow you to achieve great things? Practice. I'll tell you what, everything in life, you might think when you see Tiger Woods, you see LeBron James, they're pretty darn gifted athletes, right? But you know how they really succeed to get to be the best they can be? They go out and they practice every day. I can tell you, when I first started doing public speaking, I was a little bit unsure of myself. I didn't know what to say all the time. But if you practice and practice, you get a little bit better. Every one of you, you pick what you want to succeed in, and you practice, you'll be able to achieve pretty amazing things. And practice the right way, something I call perfect practice. You got to practice it right in order to excel when you're in competition. Now you're done with that, you have that passion, you have that practice, you're positive, you're thinking of the possibility. What else do you want to think about? Persistence. You know, life isn't always easy. This week you're going to have a lot of fun, but you know, maybe you go back, there's some challenges over the summer or in school. You know, people are trying to exert peer pressure on you to take drugs. Through your persistence, you're going to remember your values. You're going to think of those positive thoughts. And then you're going to be able to push back against those negative influences. Persistence. And then, of course, we know that everything doesn't always go your way. I'm a pretty good testament to that. So beyond all those other P's, what else helps? Patience. Just a little bit of patience every now and then can allow you to get through knowing you're going to get another opportunity in the near future. Everyone's time isn't today, but if you practice and you have passion and you're positive and you think about the possibilities, your time could very well be tomorrow. And then as you think about all these things and you have partnerships and friends that you're developing, every now and then you want to take a moment, and you want to pause, right? You want to pause maybe for that moment of silence. You want to pause for that spiritual moment, maybe for prayer. And you want to make sure you take it in and recognize that West Virginia is an unbelievable place, unmatched across the country. Think about these P's as you're living life. And then, at the end of all your work, the end of all your day, what do you want to do? Well, we all like to play, right? So let's get out and let's play, whether it's getting out and doing sports or music or reading, whatever you love. Find that passion, go out and do it, relax. We live in an incredible state, unmatched across the country. Let's play, let's enjoy the beautiful outdoors, the amazing country we have. So you have all that possibility in front of you. And I look forward, I usually come at the end of the week to speak. I think I'm fortunate to come at the beginning of the week before you pick your leaders. Think about these P's as you're picking your leaders. And think through, do the guys that want to represent us have these characteristics? And if they do, they might very well be worthy of another P. Wielding the P power to shape your future. That's a word that people don't talk about very much, but you want to make sure you're wielding power for the right reasons. You have that ability when you're picking someone today. And I'm excited because I think this week you're going to have an unbelievable opportunity. You're going to take all the experiences and the knowledge you learned, you're going to go back to your hometowns, and you're going to make a huge difference in the future of West Virginia. I see it. I think everyone here sees it. And the beautiful thing is, our state's going to see it beginning now. So take it all in. This is your unbelievable week. Breathe it in. And remember, you guys are the men of tomorrow. And you have a chance to truly be what makes West Virginia and continues to make West Virginia the best state in our nation. Guys, thank you very much. Good luck to all of you.